Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to do a Valentine's Day look. The look that you're seeing on me today, I know it's totally outside my comfort zone, totally hot pinks and like this bright lip. But if you guys want to see what all I used, because the eyeshadow palette is totally new to me, but rest everything is like my cult favorite products. But if you want to see how I achieved this look, keep on watching. Okay, let's begin with today's Valentine's Day look. Let's prime our face. I'm going to just take my Merit Beauty Great Skin Primer. That's where I am. I generally use it like in my everyday life, just like as a first step to the skin. I feel like it has like great qualities to give like a glowy skin look, and it just refreshes the face really nicely, especially if you have like dry skin or anything. This would be really beautiful on your skin as like a first step. I'm just gonna take that all across my face. The only thing that I have on my face is my brows, and for that I use my Maybelline Express brow pencil in the shade deep brown. So that's what I have. For the concealer, I'm actually gonna take my Lancome concealer. This is in the shade Bisque Warm, and I'm gonna underpaint my eyes just because this is more of like a warm tone concealer, and I mostly have like a neutral undertone. So this just corrects everything in my humble opinion. Okay, so let me take my brush. I'm just gonna correct it, and especially because we have that Merit Beauty great, like that glow skin kind of a thing underneath, it just melts into the skin so nicely, and you can see how beautifully it just blends. I generally do focus it here. I've told you a couple of times I have like very dark circles right here in this area, so just concentrate the product there and just blend everything else out. So once we have that all blended across, let's move on to the foundation. And for the foundation, I'm going to take this Estee Lauder Double Wear Sheer Long Wear Makeup with broad spectrum of 19 in it. I absolutely love this product. I love how lightweight it is on the skin. I love how easily it blends across, and I love the squeezy tip applicator. This is like more of like a liquidy consistency. It just drips right there. I'm just gonna take that on the back of my finger and apply it on my face. Because it's a very liquidy consistency, I just apply it with my fingers first, so that's just gently everywhere, and then I'm just gonna apply it right on top. See how lightweight it is? It's definitely not like a full coverage product by any means. It's more of like a light to medium coverage, I would say. But because we underpainted underneath the face, all the dark circles and everything that needed to be concealed is already concealed. Once we have that all blended all across the face, I'm just gonna quickly apply my setting powder right underneath the eyes before anything sets. So for that, I'm going to take my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. Did I tell you I have already hit pan here? Look at that. And then I'm just going to take that, just take away all the creases and just press it right there. And this just melts everything into the face just like that. And then for the all over powder, I'm just going to take my Kosas Cloud set powder, because that's what I do. I'm just going to take that on the perimeters of the face, and this one is in the shade Comfy. Now time for bronzer. I'm going to take my Glowish bronzer, and this one is in the shade Tan Light 03 right there. So let's take that. Right there. And then for the blush, I want to use this Colourpop Heart blush. How appropriate is that for Valentine's Day? but I also want a little bit more of a cream blush too. This one was in the shade Let's Dance, and it's more like a peachy pink, but I want more of like a muted color story underneath. And for that, I'm going to take this Half Cake Beauty Candy Paint blush in the shade Velvet Tiger. I really love that blush. It's a very soft, neutral pink shade. And I'm going to just apply that right there. Definitely want more of like a flushy cheek. For the blush, let's take that Colourpop blush in the shade Let's Dance and just set the blush in place. Just because the half-caked one is definitely leaves a little bit of sheen, but the Colourpop one is definitely more of like a powder blush. It's a matte blush, and it's just gonna set everything in place. So now once the cheek is all flushed out, all we need is like a finishing powder underneath the eyes just to melt everything out. And for that, I'm going to take this Givenchy Prism Leap powder, and I'm just going to take that underneath the eyes and on top of that edges of the blush, just to melt everything back into place. I wanted to use this, completely forgot, so we'll keep that on the side for another day. For the highlighter, I want to use this Electrum Cosmetics Daydreamer highlighter palette, and I am focusing more on like the pinky tones, and this is full of iridescent multichromy highlighters. As you can see, really beautiful. I'm thinking of either applying this or this. Feels like I should go with this, just because this I feel like has like that green tinge too coming across the camera. Let's apply this. And this one is in the shade Believer. These highlighters are definitely more of like that sparklier formula, so you have to melt it into the skin, and it does melt into the skin. That's the beauty about this highlighter. But if you love a iridescent highlighter, you will absolutely love it. I'm just going to mix a little bit of Head in the Clouds. Just like that. You can see that highlighter coming across. Really pretty. And just melt everything together. My hair is all over the place, so you need to excuse that. But let's use this eyeshadow palette. This is definitely new to me, but it's not a new product by any means. But I felt like for Valentine's Day, this is so apt. And this is from MBA Cosmetics, and this is their Sunset Beach palette. I definitely was curious about this palette, so I picked it up. This color story a little bit reminds me of the new Bella Beauty Bar Dead Roses palette, and I feel like that's mainly because of the oranginess and the hot pinks in the palette. But let's apply this. I already have ordered the Dead Roses palette, but I want to see how this applies on the eyes. So let's begin. I'm so excited for this one. So let's start off with the eye primer first. So let's take this Alter Ego eye primer all across the eyes. Of course, because this is a Valentine's Day look, I want to go more like pinky. But we'll see. If it happens to be a little bit more purpley, we'll call it an anti-Valentine's Day look. How about that? We'll see. I mean, although I feel like pinks and purples are totally romantic tones, and I am wearing a top which is more of like pink roses with like purpley, bluey flowers also on it. So we'll see how it rolls, okay? We're going to first start off with the shade Maui, which is the peachy shade of the palette, the lightest matte of the palette. I'm going to first take that on the inner part of the crease. Oh, that's a pigmented shade. Ooh, look at that. Definitely a pigmented shade. Such a beautiful peach too. Like a soft peach shade. I can totally make this as a one and done eye look with this shade. Really pretty. And this would be beautiful as a blush too. Once we have that, let's take all the mattes in the palette actually. So we'll start with this hot pink, We'll melt that peachy shade with this shade and we'll deepen the outer corners with this shade. So let's start off with that hot pink shade, and I'm gonna take that mainly right there, and then I'm gonna mix it with that peachy shade. I'm gonna put that hot pink mainly all across the eyelid so that it is the background shade of the eye. The MBA Cosmetics shadows have been extremely easy to work with. These are a little bit more of the drier formula, but they are pigmented, like absolutely pigmented formula, and they blend really well. You will not see any skipping or anything, but if you love a pigmented shadow, this would be absolutely beautiful. I have several single shadows from MBA Cosmetics and also the Autumn Wishes palette and now this palette, and it's worked beautifully for me. Going back into that main crease brush and going into that Maui shade, which was that peachy shade in the palette, and just melting everything out. Now I'm going to take that other peachy shade, the darker peach shade, which is Fiji, this one, and I'm going to take that on the lower lash line. Now I'm going to dip into that purpley shade, which is Saint Lucia, and I'm going to deepen out the outer corner with this shade. Pinks and purples, I mean, they're match made in heaven, so I cannot imagine this not going well. So once we have that in the outer corner, I'm just going to take that same shade on the outer corners of the lower lash line too. And once we have that shade where we want, I'm just gonna blend everything together. Just blending everything out so that there's no harsh lines and everything is blending smoothly into each other. Now once we have that all placed everywhere, I'm going to take my Glimmer Grasp by Unearthly Cosmetics, because time for some shimmers. I'm just going to take that on the back of my hand, just a tad bit, and I'm going to place that on the eyelid right on top of that pink meeting with that purple. I definitely want to use that purple, and that it's a beautiful purple to a green shifting shade. I want to take that on the extreme outer corners right there to mix with that purple, and that will give such a beautiful interest to the eye. I really love that. Not going to take a lot, just right there. Okay, I'm going to take this Santa Monica shade. I'm going to just apply that right there next to that purple. And this one is like a smooth shifting shade. And so was that purple. So I'm just layering like that across the base of the eye look right there, like that. And it's like a fiery orangey pink shade. Okay, let's take that Waikiki Beach, this hot pink shade. And this definitely has a little bit more like texture to it. So it will give a little bit more sparkle to the eye. So I'm just taking that right there, just tapping it on top, right there. You can see the difference, right? And then for the inner corners, I'm just going to take a small brush with that shade Malibu, this one. And this is more like a peachy pink to a blue shift shade. I'm going to just place that right there in the inner corners. Look at the shift. Looks more green on the eye. That's so pretty. Just like that, okay? I love it. Just gonna take a little bit of Saint Lucia shade, that purple shade, and just connecting the outer corners of the lower lash line. I'm gonna finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. Okay, let's finish off our lips. That's how the eyes turned out. Let's use Colourpop CTRL lip liner. This is a deeper lip liner. And let's apply that. We have a few options. Let's see what we need to take. This is Pat McGrath. It's definitely more deeper, but can work. This is Lavish. This is Venus and Furs. Maybe a little bit more cool toned. We have the Vinyl Lip from Maybelline. And this one is in the shade Lippy. And this is definitely more pink. Maybe this will go. Let's do this. Is it too reddy? And it's because of that brown lip liner. Maybe if we put a little hint of pink, maybe this. No, is that too much? This is from Lelo Beauty and this one was in the shade number 1. I don't know what shade name is it. Maybe just a dab. Is that too pink now? Too monochromatic. But I think it works for Valentine's Day, right? Or is it too much? It's too much for me when I'm seeing it. But also with this hair, not helping a bit. Let's set our face with the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Okay, that's my final look. I really love the way how eyes turned out. It's very dimensional, very shifty and very beautiful. It's definitely more like deeper and sultry rather than more like fresh and airy. Definitely more on the anti-Valentine's Day-ish feel rather than too Valentine's-y. But I do feel like this definitely gives the vibes of the Bella Beauty Bar palette. If you have this palette and if you wanted the Dead Roses palette, check this out a little bit more. I feel like you can definitely get the vibes. And I know that the Bella Beauty Bar palette had like a greeny shift to it, but even this shade, it's a purple to a green shifting shade. You can achieve that kind of thing with that shade. And if you layer that shade over this shade, let's see. Just because this on the eyes, it was so green in the center. I just want to see. So this is that shade, purpley shade by itself. I definitely see more green. Can you see that? I think that's a good shade. And then when you apply this shade, like that's green, right? It's so crazy. I see like hot pink to a blue shifting shade and you see like peach to a green. And when I layer this, definitely can get that effect. Yeah, I really think that this palette can give that vibes of the Dead Roses palette if you do have it in your collection. Obviously, when I'm like going to dupe that palette, I don't think it's going to be like a shade to shade match, but the vibes can still match is what I feel. I really love how everything turned out. If I can, in my everyday life, I'll totally rock this eye look, but I might go for like a muted lip. That's just me. But also I know like this is the only time where I will rock like a hot pink lip. So I really love it. I love the way how this turned out. But that's all for today, guys. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Are you gonna celebrate Valentine's Day and which is the palette that you're gonna wear for your Valentine's Day? Do let me know in the comment section below. But that's all for today. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.